Hello and welcome to the official Doctor Who podcast, Adoop, as no one is calling it. I am Juno Dawson.
I'm Tyrell Charles.
And I'm Christel Dee.
This week, with the help of lead writer Russell T Davies himself, we are going to be talking about episode 1, The Star Beast. Ooh, thank you. Thanks. If you have not watched the episode yet, obviously there are going to be spoilers, so please stop listening right now, go away, watch The Star Beast, and then come straight back, because we have lots of secrets and brand new information. Thank you. That's more like it. Now, in front of us, if you are listening, not watching, in front of us we have sealed envelopes. These are the orders of Russellon. Thank you. Russellon himself. So let's crack on. Tyrell, would you like to open envelope number 1?
I'd love to. And the Orders of Russellon is such a great name, and I love whoever came up with that. Okay, this just says, they're back.
Yes!
They're back. David Tennant's back.
My fave.
Mine too. I think a lot of people's, if I'm being honest.
Is it your favourite Doctor of all 14?
Of all 14, David Tennant is 100% my favourite Doctor. He was my first Doctor, which probably gives a bit of bias, but yeah.
Who was your Doctor, Christel?
David Tennant as well. Yeah, David Tennant is my Doctor, but also Catherine Tate as Donna Noble is my favourite companion. So obviously the specials, the Star Beast, seeing them back on screen has just been absolutely incredible.
Are we on an age precipice? Do I sit before you several years old? Let's not get into that. But so my Doctor will always be Sylvester McCoy, which I'm giving away my age. But I love them all. But I think David might be my favourite as well. Sorry to all the other actors who have played the Doctor.
And he's just, for me, that opening shot where the TARDIS lands and he comes out of the TARDIS and he's really enjoying being the Doctor again. He's really enjoying being this face. He's got his swagger on and he's just delighted at being, the 10th Doctor, the 14th Doctor. It's a bit confusing.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get on to that. What were you expecting? Because before the Star Beast, I thought we might have like a super traumatised Doctor. Like, what is happening? My regeneration has gone horribly wrong. But actually, that, like, you're so right. He steps out of the TARDIS and his face just lights up.
Yeah, I think in very much 10th Doctor fashion, he was almost just happy to be him. He was just like, oh, cool, I'm this one again.
And, he didn't want to go, did he?
Yeah.
So he's back. So why wouldn't he be, absolutely delighted? So there's obviously been some time between him regenerating and him landing because he's got the Sonic.
Yeah.
And the Sonic can do some really wacky stuff as well. So I don't know how long he's been working on that Sonic.
We know a little time must have passed for 2 reasons. One, Juno Dawson wrote an entire season of Doctor Who Redacted, which is running concurrent because it ends with the ship crashing into Camden. Well done if you spotted that Easter egg. And number 2, we know that in Doctor Who magazine there has been a whole comic strip featuring the 14th Doctor. So canonically there have been adventures between the Power of the Doctor and the Star Beast. So we know this is true.
I assume then the Sonic screwdriver change. I imagine it's similar to how all the other screwdrivers changed. The TARDIS just said, look, you're a new face, have this. Have an upgrade.
Have a massive upgrade.
Yeah.
This is a sonic screwdriver.
Okay. I think, Christel, let's whip open envelope number 2 and see what's inside.
The Meep.
Yes.
The Meep.
The Meep.
Meep.
The Meep. Now, if we do not know, were we familiar with the Meep prior to going into Star Beast?
To be honest, only from the comics, I had no idea what was going to unfold and whether Meep was good or bad. So
Yeah, same. I naturally, like everybody else probably, I ran to Google to figure out what's going on. Saw the odd tweet every now and again from people saying, the Meep's cute, but don't trust it. Don't trust the Meep was just flying around the internet. And I'm so happy I didn't look into it more because that was a fun surprise.
I mean, there are 2 types of Doctor Who fans. There are those who would choose to spoil it themselves and there are those who would not. And I think the vast majority of people who sat down to watch Doctor Who tonight or last night will have had no idea who the Meep was, or Beep the Meep. As far as I know, so for the best of my understanding, we are going back to the 70s when Meep was first introduced. So I've always known that Beep the Meep is a villain. But that said, did that in any way reduce my enjoyment of the moment when cute Meep goes to red-eyed, pincer-teethed.
It's amazing.
That is one of the best moments of the episode. It was like both funny and scary at the exact same time. I think it was Miriam's voice that made it extra funny, but then it was just like the sort of Mr. Burns hands and
I
everything.
think the Meep really reminds me, in that moment, reminds me of that cat meme, the cat at the table doing that face. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same face.
Now to hell with this! Exhibit C! No stun guns for me! Just die!
I feel like any cat owners here will have seen their own cats doing that face at some point.
And Miriam Margolyes clearly having the time of her life somewhere in a recording studio.
And also getting to do pretty much every scene, you hear the Meep in the background going, help me, or like, just making noises. And then getting to switch and then being really evil as well. So it's sort of like best of both worlds. It must have been an amazing part to play.
Yeah, the noises was like the funniest thing because you're right, it was so like soul. You just hear it so off screen, just.
I liked any long shot where you could see the feet going.
Yeah.
For me, I love watching a little foot go. The Meep was real and on set and inhabited by a ballet dancer.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That's so cool.
I love wherever possible, and this is true of Doctor Who, Star Wars, Marvel, I always love it when it's a real thing and it feels tangible. And I love that throughout. And I'm sure they did have some CGI in there, but I love that it felt like you could cuddle.
Oh, it's so fluffy. It's so fluffy. And also, just saying, like, if a toy of the Meep ever hits the shelves, I'm getting 5.
It
100%.
must.
100%.
maybe.
Like, Russell
cuddly.
is back in charge now, and we know he is a man who loves some merch. Before us is a TARDIS teapot. So I have a cuddly adipose baby at home, so I imagine there will be.
Waiting to
So
happen.
what I personally want is all of the cuddly like villains inside Rose's shed, like the Dalek and the Gonks,
the Gonk, the
Ood.
What? What? Did it just...
What the hell?
But that was my favourite one was the
So
Ood, the
cute.
Jadood.
There's a whole merchandise range waiting to happen.
Yeah,
Rose's
inside that little
Gonks.
shed. Yeah.
Speaking of the Russell T Davies, I believe it's time for a message from our leader.
Hello, faithful podcasters. It is me, it's Russell T Davies here, and this show is now probably covered by more behind-the-scenes material than any other show on planet Earth. So how can I think of things that I haven't said anywhere else? I'm trying for you, dear podcasters, because I love you. It's as simple as that. So first thing you can talk about, or you can ignore, whatever you want, is the Meep. In the very first draft of this script, the Meep revealed himself much earlier. In draft 1, it was practically straight away, or in Rose's shed. As in the comic strip, he reveals himself in the comic strip a significant chunk earlier, before the chase, not after the chase. So in the very first script, it's like he'd be in Rose's shed and she'd said, I was making toys and things like that. And then every time she turned her head, she'd like turn away to pick up a toy. He'd kind of look at the camera and go, soon I will feast on her blood. Like that, which I thought was really funny. I was told by my bosses, give me notes, they said he revealed him as a villain too soon. I don't know. To this day, I still watch it thinking, I think that was really funny. Because then, like, Rose would turn back to him, did she say something? And he'd go, meep, meep. Like that. So, would it have been better to reveal the Meep as a villain earlier?
Okay, so there we go. So Russell poses a question for us. What do we think about the reveal? Was it too soon or bang on?
I think it was perfect, to be honest, because we get so much time with the Meep as a cute little character. And you wouldn't have had that amazing chase scene where they're escaping from the aliens and climbing through the lofts, with Meep following along behind, making cute little noises.
No! Help! Get off me, you space rat!
Oh, wow, he's so cute.
And I think the payoff, like waiting, the payoff is so worth it in the end. I think if you had done it earlier, I don't think it would have had such an impact.
I agree. And I think a lot of the comedy that we love from the show in general was very much played out with the Meep. Like thinking the Meep is this cute, adorable, cuddly little thing that we have to protect. That all works because we had so much time thinking it was a cute, adorable little thing.
Millions and millions of people at home would have just thought it was a cute little thing. And I am fully with you, Christel, which is yes, Russell's vision is hilarious, but I think Meep scurrying through the attic was even funnier.
Yeah.
I'm going to open up envelope number 3 now. Let's do it. What's it going to be? I just won £166 million because we're talking about Donna.
Yes.
Donna.
Donna.
Shall I talk briefly about my complicated history with Donna Noble?
Please, you mentioned it before. I'm so curious.
So I was not the biggest fan of Donna in The Runaway Bride because I was mourning Rose and I was gutted that Rose had gone. And then when they announced that Catherine Tate was coming back as a permanent companion, I was really upset because Martha had left. But do you know what? Within an episode or 2 of Catherine being back, I was like, Martha who? And I truly think that Catherine Tate as Donna Noble is one of the best Doctor Who companions there has ever been. I love that she and the Doctor are best friends in a way that Sarah Jane and the Doctor were best friends. And I really love that she's back. And this episode, we've come very fresh. I've literally just watched it half an hour ago. I'd forgotten how amazing she is, the actor.
She's
wonderful.
absolutely phenomenal, isn't she? And I think that's really clear in her first time round as well, because I know that when she was cast, a lot of people knew her from the Catherine Tate show, and I think people were a bit unsure about how she would play Donna. And then the moment she arrives on screen, especially after The Runaway Bride and in episodes like The Fires of Pompeii, she's just acting her socks off. She's absolutely phenomenal, and she does that in this episode as well.
Yeah.
Big time. I think the choice to make Donna a mother, I think, was such a great way to flex Catherine Tate's acting skills, because the switch up between, I'm Donna, I'm funny, I'm just the hilarious girl from Chiswick, but then added on the drama of I'm extra protective of my daughter, and I would, like she said,
She will descend.
She will descend.
Yeah.
She would honestly raise fire for Rose, and I love that. I think that pushes her a lot. It's her primary motivation throughout the entire episode. And again, I love a good payoff in third acts. So when she becomes the Dr. Donna again, and that motivation is still there, and it's still driving her, it's beautiful. And Catherine Tate smashed it.
I think it's also the fact that it's not exactly the Donna that, who we saw in that last episode, Journey's End, where her mind is wiped. We're led to believe that she's gone back to the Runaway Bride Donna, but because her memories are kind of leaking out in her subconscious, she is doing stuff like giving away her money and, the care and love that she has for her daughter. That Donna that learnt so much on that journey, with the Doctor.
She's still there.
Is still there, know.
Yeah.
For me, the scene of the episode, I think actually my favourite scene of the whole episode was the two-hander between the Doctor and Donna in the Meep's ship, where she's like, why me? Like, I'm nobody.
You'll die.
My daughter is down there.
Ignition in 180.
And it's not just Rose. It's 9 million people who cares about me.
I do.
Why? I'm just no one.
No, you are not.
And I could feel it. I could feel the tear just poking into one eye as she realised. And again, as she chooses to die, she would rather die than see Rose die. And I was like,
Yeah.
Tyrell, could you open envelope number 4?
I can. Envelope number 4 is... Staying similarly on topic, the Temple Nobles.
Yes.
The Temple Noble family. So that's Sean, Donna, Sylvia, and Rose.
Just loved seeing them, and loved seeing Sylvia back
Sylvia
in full
was
force,
amazing.
full camp energy, so good.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
She fell right back into form. I love that. She knew Sylvia's whole thing was, I love Donna, I hate the Doctor.
Yeah.
And that was her whole driving thing throughout it. I love that every little mini detail about Sylvia and Donna from series 4 came back over to here. Just her always mentioning her mates, being like, oh yeah, I need to go see Suzette from around the corner. Neris. Oh, I love them. As soon as she mentioned Neris, I died.
Can we take a moment to appreciate Jacqueline King? Because I'm not sure she's quite got the flowers she should have, because I think she's got the range.
Absolutely, 100%. She's absolutely phenomenal. Deserves all the recognition and all the awards.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I'll say is Sean. We get to see
Way more of Sean.
Way more of Sean.
So glad you said it. Sean was from the minute he popped out of the taxi, I loved him.
He's great, isn't he?
He had no lines, right? In End of Time. So I don't know what I expected from Sean in this episode, but he's so funny.
He's so funny, and actually, I love the fact that like he just takes it all in his stride.
Yeah.
It's not like, this is really weird, aliens. It's like, oh, okay, then we're doing this.
Yeah, I feel like what I thought about watching the episode is that Sean's kind of like the anti-Rory, in the sense where Rory was always a bit like, oh, who's this guy? It's taking my woman around the universe. Sean was like, well, just roll with it. Just got to look after my girls and go home.
But it's been married, it'll be like 15 years they've been together, and it's, you'd trust your wife in the TARDIS.
Yeah, exactly.
But Raz is the new element. So Raz is fresh for 2023. Exciting twist at the end. Did we see the Dr. Donna Rose? We're one step on from the Dr. Donna now. It's
like, do you know what? I had no idea how they would solve the meta crisis, and that is one thing I didn't see coming, the sort of shared meta crisis.
Yeah.
But it does make sense.
It
like
does,
a little bit of it.
Just passed off.
Passed on to the baby, yeah.
Yeah, and because of that, they were able to survive it. It just like shifted. So it was like, oh, actually, she can manage it now if they share it. I love that.
Yeah.
A problem shared is a meta crisis halved.
What did you think about them releasing it at the end? I'm just gonna let it go.
I feel like it's good to round it off because I think it's one of those things where it's come back in the specials. It's been a really useful, almost like tool for the episode as well, in terms of like defeating the baddies, defeating the Meep. But like, I think it's actually nice to sort of let Donna and her family go, like sort of like release them from the, does that make sense?
Yeah. I think if they had kept the meta crisis just as a permanent part of Rose and Donna, I guess the issue, I suppose, that would come up is, they may as well travel around in the TARDIS, right? They've got all the brains for it.
I think the other thing is as well is I think the Doctor is such a unique character, and I do think having permanent meta crisis sort of almost undermines the Doctor's character because then you've got basically like three doctors.
Yeah.
So I do think it is good to sort of, let it go.
I agree.
And that has always been the way with Doctor Who, which is Romana was a great companion, Liz Shaw was a great companion, but there does have to be, and for 60 years now there has been, the Doctor is a genius alien, and he often has a human companion who we get to see the world.
Yeah.
And if Donna is also a Time Lord, we as an audience don't really get to appreciate the awe of the universe. Some curry has arrived.
What?
Oh.
I thought I could smell something in the studio.
Is this an ode to
Oh my goodness.
Sylvia's curry?
Oh, more trouble.
I've made you a nice curry.
We've still got that giant sausage roll from Thursday.
Oh, wow. Do you know what? So, wait, what is this? So it's tuna...
Tuna madras.
Tuna madras. I don't think I've ever had this before.
Nor me.
It smells good, though.
I wouldn't put olives in a curry. I don't know.
Oh, it's quite nice.
I've intentionally moved the olives out of the way.
You know what? Because olives are the worst. No, olives are vile.
Oh, it's actually quite spicy. I'm not very good with spicy
This
food.
is not a spicy curry, Christel.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Not from Bradford. Has this actually been made by Sylvia Noble?
Something smells nice.
Tuna madras.
When they said tuna madras in the show, I was like, that's so specific. Who has tuna madras?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tuna madras.
There was like a whole episode going on, and I couldn't move past tuna madras.
Yeah,
So I was like, that's so.
I was like, have I heard that
I've heard
right?
of like
Yeah.
fish, like a Goan fish curry, but I wouldn't do it with tuna. While we digest our tuna madras, let's once again hear from lead writer Russell T Davies.
So now, trigger warning for potentially contentious conversation, if we don't mind me leading myself into this, which is that of dead naming. Rose at one point is dead named in the street by some kids calling her by her dead name, which is Jason.
Well, Jason, you all right? All right, looking good, Jason. Well, give us a kiss, Jason.
Oh, get them. Is that Josie Wingate's boy?
Just leave it.
The interesting thing about Jason is actually it means healer or doctor, which means that Donna actually named her child after the Doctor without realising it subconsciously, which is a nice fact to get in there, to get that across and to get the sort of prejudice that's being shown towards Rose by those bullies and thugs in the street, we actually have to have a scene of dead naming. So I'm kind of handing this over to you, Juno, really, in a way, which is to say, is that a good thing to do? Is that a wise thing to do? Is that a difficult thing to do? I personally think we should stare into difficult stuff like this, but equally, what a nice, easy life I've got, and I'm ready to be told otherwise. So what do you think?
So I feel that it is important to show the lived reality of trans people. Rose is played by an amazing trans actor, Yasmin Finney from Heartstopper, as we know. And it happens, you know, and I think the important thing here is that the characters who misgender Rose aren't presented as aspirational characters. You know, we see, and I think it's important that we see how upset, if stoic, Rose is, how it really upsets Donna. You know, and I think that's important. I think, to my mind, as a trans person and as a writer, there is no point in trying to sugar the pill. Trans people face transphobia. And it felt accurate and honest to me that Rose is misgendered. It felt honest and right that Sylvia sometimes struggles with pronouns because she's learning, because she understood her grandchild was one thing, and then Rose chose a different life for herself.
Is she right? Boys from school. I never know. When I say she looks gorgeous, is that right? I mean, is it sexist? Never said it to him when he was... Oh, sorry.
For me, I thought that scene was quite important and it felt honest.
I think a lot of the time, although it's good to show some of the struggles that queer people go through, it's really nice showing equally queer people surrounded by love and support, and it gives you hope, doesn't it? It's so feel good.
Yeah. I really appreciate that they chose Sylvia as the person to be sort of struggling with the idea of their naming and very honestly saying like, oh, I just don't know. She's not being malicious about it. Even Donna says, yeah, sometimes I do too, and it's a tricky situation. But I appreciate that it was Sylvia because it kind of has the idea of Sylvia kind of comes from a previous generation that's very much not used to the idea of sort of progression and having to sort of restructure the way that she thinks and learn, but she's very, like I said, very supportive.
And she's not afraid to ask as well. You know,
always.
It's you know, at the end of the day, you know, if you don't know what to do or what to say, just ask.
Yeah.
Just ask.
What pronouns do we use, Christel?
She, her.
I'm a she, her.
I'm he, him.
See how simple was that?
Yeah.
So simple. We are now going to open envelope number 5. Christel,
Excellent.
I believe this one is you.
Right.
Let's go. The TARDIS.
Oh, she's had a glow up. Quite literally.
Massively.
It glows.
It really does. I can't wait to see all of the different shades in the upcoming episodes.
Yeah.
I really hope that there's a setting that like changes colour and goes into like rainbow mode or something. But it is
Party mode.
Party mode. It's like
100%,
disco.
I bet there is.
I think it's the disco TARDIS, isn't it? We have yet to see it in sort of disco mode, but it's enormous. It's probably about 4 or 5 times bigger than any TARDIS we've ever seen before.
It takes the concept of bigger in the insides to a whole new level.
100%. And there's different levels as well. And I love the shot of the Doctor running around the TARDIS. He's obviously taken the opportunity to show how enormous it is by like running around it and doing laps.
Yeah, and it turns
amazing.
out that was David Tennant. That was his idea. He personally wanted to. So Russell was saying that he got on set and was just like, was so much of a fanboy that he was like, I think it would be really cool if I just like ran around like a little child at Disneyland. The magic of Doctor Who that was my favourite scene of the episode, I think, because all the magic and wonder of Doctor Who was just perfectly summed up in that scene.
Do we like the new TARDIS?
Love the new TARDIS. I love the white look. I love how minimal it is.
I think it might be my favourite one since 2005. And that's because in terms of the colour palette, it's most like Sylvester McCoy's.
Yes,
so it kind of feels like the old school TARDIS, but on a much, much more expensive. Oh, it's expensive. It's expensive.
They didn't say you've redecorated, I don't like it. I feel like that was such a Stephen thing to do.
Yeah, very much. There was a few little moments where I feel like this is a time for a callback. They didn't do.
Do you know what's so tragic?
Tell me.
That TARDIS is on screen for about 2 seconds and then Donna goes and spills a cup of tea in it.
What's going to go wrong? Oh my God, I did it again!
And destroys the whole thing.
Classic Donna.
Now, I believe once more we have an intervention, if you will, from Russell T Davies.
You don't.
The TARDIS. Hello, faithful podcasters. How much do we love that TARDIS? Well, I don't care what you think. I love it. I love it so much. And I think it's interesting that I based that over the past few years on very much loving the white TARDISes that were beginning to crop up in the programme. Clara and me flew off into the vortex in a white TARDIS. Then Jodie's era saw the fugitive Doctor with that white TARDIS, and they stole that TARDIS from Gallifrey and flew back to Earth and stuff like that. And I loved it, and I had a long conversation with myself sitting there going, do I love that because I'm a fan of the 60s, 70s and 80s when the TARDIS was white, or do I love that because it's genuinely good? And I think now we built one, I think the answer is because it's genuinely good. But feel free to argue.
I mean, I think we sort of touched on it, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think it is genuinely good.
Yeah.
And it's very sleek, and I think it obviously references the classic era, references Day of the Doctor as well, the War Doctor.
Yeah.
I think that when the desktop is changing and it goes white, yeah.
I agree. I think white is just a nice choice. I think it's kind of universally accepted as like a futuristic kind of look. But I like that it optionally changes colour as well, because it kind of reminds me of I think it was the end of Turn Left when like Bad Wolf was everywhere, and then the TARDIS just goes like red alert and everything goes red when things go dangerous. So it kind of borrows elements, I guess, of like the modern era, but it takes what was a genuinely good design from classic and says, well, what if we looked at this on a nice big widescreen TV?
Yeah.
I just think it looks. I think whether it is Star Trek or the Jetsons, I think that there's like a shared cultural understanding of a space age, and gleaming white futuristic technology is always going to feel science fiction and feel space age. And so while I think it is classic nods to the 80s TARDISes, I think it also feels very modern, and it doesn't feel like we've ever seen a TARDIS quite like it before. It's almost taking what we loved about the multi-level TARDISes from the Moffat era, but then mixing them with the sleekness of the 80s TARDISes as well. So I think you can have your cake and eat it. I'm now going to go in with our final envelope, our Russell-on message. And cryptically, what is the deal with the 14th Doctor?
What a great question.
Yeah, good luck us. What is the deal with the 14th Doctor? I thought we were going to find out, and we didn't.
As did I. I'm at the end of like Power of the Doctor, my assumption was it was going to stem from what happened in that episode where we saw like the Guardians of the Edge, and there was the previous Doctors were rattling around, I guess, like in her head, I suppose. So I thought it was going to be some sort of like to play over from that, like maybe like 10 was one of the Guardians of the Edge, and because he didn't want to go, he snuck his way back in.
I think if the universe is drawing the Doctor and Donna together again because they need to save the day, I think it would make sense for the Doctor to choose that particular face, which is sort of referenced in the episode. Yeah. But I'm not sure if that's entirely it, and I think we may see some more stuff, some more explanations as to why he's chosen that
we
face.
have that line from Meep as well. Wait until they tell the boss.
The boss.
Who's the boss?
Who is the boss?
That's a great question. I would have thought Meep was a free agent.
Yeah. What do we think then? So if we were going to stick our necks on the line, what do we think? Go on.
I mean, I had this theory, I think it's quite a common theory amongst fans, that the toy maker is playing a game and is kind of pulling strings to make certain things happen.
Yeah.
So,
if you're not a big fan, the toy maker we know is coming back as played by Neil Patrick Harris. This has been all over social media. This is not a spoiler, but we will be hearing more about the toy maker later in the season. I think my theory is even more nerdy, if such a thing is possible. So cast your minds back, if you will, to 1981, Legopolis. The Tom Baker's Doctor was stalked by this spooky figure known as the Watcher. I wonder if 14 is like the Harbinger Doctor.
I like that as a concept. Or my other instinct is there was some malicious intent, because choosing 10 and sticking that face right in front of a Donna who's not supposed to see.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me help.
Thank you very much.
I think that could have been someone, possibly pulling the strings, possibly toying
And
with.
we've seen in the trailer the Toy Master does literally pull the strings. Well, we will find out more same time next week as we head into episode 2 of these little specials, which is called Wild Blue Yonder. What do we think is going to happen next week?
No idea. I mean, this is the episode that has been really under wraps, and we haven't really seen very much in the trailers.
Yeah, all I've got to go on is the title, Wild Blue Yonder. I'm imagining the TARDIS is gone. It's gone lost. We're trying to figure out where the TARDIS has gone and why. Hopefully, I'm wondering if that gives us some clues as to what's going on with the 14th Doctor.
I did have a theory quite early on, actually, when the Sonic was revealed. In the reveal video, we go like inside the Sonic, and then I thought, well, maybe Wild Blue Yonder is an episode like where they're trapped in the Sonic.
Yeah, figure out why
It might be big on the inside as well. I mean, it can do a lot of stuff, so...
Break down concrete. I don't know if that's been done before, but he said it was like, oh yeah, I can just break concrete.
Christopher Eccleston, Ninth Doctor, he goes, Rose, I'm trying to resonate concrete.
Oh, yeah.
Flawless Eccleston impression. I have no idea what's happening next week. We know nothing. I've scoured the dark places of the internet and there's nothing. Spoilers, there's nothing.
Nope.
So I just can't wait. I cannot wait. Yeah. 7 days. We'll be right back here next week watching Wild Blue Yonder with you. You can join us afterwards to hear us discuss that episode. But in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe this podcast. And while you're there, subscribe to the official Doctor Who YouTube channel as well for more exclusive content. Enjoy yourself, and we will see you right back here next week. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Doctor Who YouTube channel.